No, can I just eat it later?
No, come and eat it now.
No.
Now.
Later. Yeah, Mommy, I'm busy. Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Sabrina and welcome back to my book nook. So I am actually currently filming this on Christmas, so I thought it would be fun to do a little haul before I get started. Don't worry, it's very small. I got a new pair of headphones, the Sony WH something MX4s. My mom paid for like half of it and I paid for the other half when it was on sale for Black Friday. My sister is getting me a Snuggie, which I'm very excited about. My boyfriend got me this Binging with Babish cookbook, which I'm very excited about, and my best friend got me this moon lamp and it changes colors and it's actually the coolest thing in my room right now. Tie for coolest thing is the car seat headrest twin fantasy dogs that my friend Ada sewed for me. She's literally so incredibly talented. I've been begging for the twin fantasy dogs for so long because Twin Fantasy by Car Seat Headrest is one of my favorite albums of all time, so to have the dogs, I love them so much. And she even got the nipples right. So the second gift that she got me, because she was my Secret Santa, signed copy of Crying in Hmart, which literally made me cry. I love Ada so much. She's literally sewn like half the things on my bookshelf and she's just so incredibly talented. I have no idea how she does it. That is just a little Ada appreciation. Oh, I also wanted to share these earrings I got. These weren't a gift, but I bought them at my school's holiday art farm, which is when students showcase different trinkets and stuff and they sell them that they made. And I got this from my friend who is incredibly talented as well. I love these earrings so much. Okay, let me just start by saying I really didn't read that many books this year. Last year I read 75 books. This year I read 67 books. There's still a week, so I could read maybe more of my goal. But 67 is where I'm at now. Compared to last year, I read a little bit less, so I also have kind of less favorite books this year as well. I only have 4 this year, and last year I think I had like 6 or 7, but that only means I'm going to go more in depth today because I think each of these books that I picked really deserves my favorite book title. You know, as I've read more and more books, I give it out more sparingly, I guess. So yeah, let's just get started. First book I wanted to share that was my absolute favorite read of this year, Crying in Hmart by Michelle Zauner. So I read this back in January. Even then I already knew it was going to be my favorite book of this year. It is my third or second favorite book of all time, and honestly words can't even describe how much I love this book, how much it just completely devastated me and my mental state, if I'm being honest. Like, I literally couldn't even look at my mom without tearing up or listening to a Japanese breakfast song without like crying. I cried so much I literally got dehydrated, which is just goes to show how amazing this book is. So basically, Crying in Hmart was a memoir written by Michelle Zauner, who is the lead singer of the band Japanese Breakfast, which is also the greatest band in existence. I love Japanese Breakfast so much. They are my favorite band ever. And so it was absolutely phenomenal that Ada managed to get me a she got me a signed copy. I actually cried when she gave this to me because it is one of my favorite books of all time, and having it signed by one of my favorite artists ever is just too much for me to handle. Crying in Hmart is a memoir about Michelle's relationship with her mom and her mom's cancer and eventual death, and you know, sort of how she dealt with that grief while also sort of tackling Asian American mother-daughter relationship dynamics. The title itself, Crying in Hmart. Hmart is a grocery store that is branded towards Asian people. You know, it has a lot of Asian food, Asian ingredients, and I love Hmart. Actually, I go to Hmart all the time. Their food court there is actually so fire. Honestly, this year, 2022, it was set out to destroy every single Asian bitch there was. I mean, first there's this book, then there was Everything Everywhere All at Once, which if you haven't seen, go see it. It is the best movie of the year of all time, possibly. But honestly, this memoir was very beautiful, not only in the way it was written, but also the story just feels very intimate and heartfelt, and you can't help but really truly feel for the author. The writing descriptions of the food were also absolutely amazing, and I love the way she connected food to her relationship with not only her mother but also her culture. Food is a very important aspect of this book. It is, I would say, probably the second most important thing besides her mom. Definitely as an Asian American girl, this book was something so incredibly personal to me, and I have to say it honestly impacted my life and my relationships so much. Like, I don't think you guys realize how much this book means to me. I don't even usually read memoirs, let alone non-fiction books, so when I read this book it was just completely out of my typical genre and I just absolutely loved it, you know. Just a warning though, if you do decide to read this book, do not read it while also listening to Japanese breakfast unless you want it to end up dehydrated like me. I love this book so much. I think everybody should read it, and if you were to read one book next year, like even if your reading goal was just one book, I would say read this book, okay? Please, please, for the love of God, read this book. Moving on to my next favorite read of this year, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is my 5th favorite book of all time. At my core, I'm a rom-com girly. I'm not going to apologize for it because rom-com books make me happy, so like why would I feel embarrassed about reading stuff that makes me happy? I've said it before and I'll say it again on this channel. I really don't like when people look down on other people for what they read. I think it's really stupid. Reading is reading. You should let people read what they want to read. At the end of the day, we're all just doing something that makes us happy. Anyways, onto the book. I fucking love Emily Henry. She's one of my favorite authors ever. I also reread Beach Read this year, and I also read People We Meet on Vacation, and while both are pretty good, Book Lovers just came out and like completely dumped on the other two. I know that Book Lovers has been receiving, I guess, mixed reviews, which I'm very surprised about, but I'm on the side that absolutely loved it. Now, Book Lovers follows Nora and Charlie, a literary agent and an editor who visit Sunshine Falls, North Carolina, and despite having very bad first impressions on each other, spoiler alert, they fall in love. Look, all rom-com books are predictable, so I appreciate any attempts at subversion of tropes and cliches, and that's basically what the basis of this book is. Nora is supposed to be, you know, like the cold-hearted woman in all those Hallmark Christmas movies, like the independent, city-drawn, hard-working woman who often gets vilified in romance media, despite the woman simply being strong-willed and enthusiastic about her career. So I just loved how this book really didn't shy away from the fact that it is a cliche, just sort of like flipped the cliche on its head to sort of create a more empowering message. And I think that I loved it because the book again chose to lean into the predictability and even pointing out like the self-aware irony at times. Emily Henry just knows how to write a romance book with witty banter and fleshed out characters that aren't entirely forgettable when you close the book. I've read a lot of rom-com books this year and I cannot remember the names of the main characters for most of them, so the fact that I still remember Nora and Charlie actually is such a big indication for me when it comes to romance books of whether they're good or not. So moving on to the next book. I already know I'm gonna get so much fucking shit for this, but like I don't even care anymore. Love on the Brain by Hazelwood. Now before y'all come at me, this book was fun. It was cute, it was funny, it was complete trash, you know, as expected. It's also like it's a Raylo fanfiction, you know, so like there wasn't much to expect in the first place. Basically, Love on the Brain follows Bee and Levi, two scientists who are being forced to collaborate on a project for NASA. Bee believes that Levi absolutely hates her, but misconceptions are cleared up, and as they work on the project more and more together, spoiler alert, they fall in love. This book was absolutely ridiculous. There were extremely cringy parts that just made me want to you know what I mean? But would I read it again? Absolutely, 100%. I actually did reread this like 2 days ago. I think the romance in this book was, yes, predictable, but also so cute to read, and I think that the characters were very vibrant, very bold and loud, which I like when it comes to rom-com stories. I think it's fun to exaggerate, you know, the stories and the characters a little bit because it's meant to be an enjoyable piece of fiction. But sometimes it's okay to have books where the main purpose is to have fun and enjoy what you're reading. Bee and Levi are idiots, but they're idiots in love, and while I do think that book was a little overly like millennial girl bossy woman in STEM type, I think overall the story was very cute, and while it's not necessarily for everyone, I think that if people would just give it a chance, they really would enjoy it. The thing is, with these types of romance books, you're really not supposed to take them seriously. It's used for escaping reality when everything's just kind of shit and all you want to do is laugh and read something that isn't extremely depressing. I think that what makes a book possibly universal is the fact that everybody will have a fun time reading it. Moving on to the last book, Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Before the Coffee Gets Cold is honestly one of the best books I read this year, and I just read it recently, but I really don't think it's recency bias that's making me put it on this list. This book is just so incredibly Let me just say now though, the book is not for the lighthearted. Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a story with elements of magical realism, as the book revolves around a coffee shop in which you can time travel. But you must be back before the coffee gets cold, hence the title. And the book has 4 main stories that you follow, and while it starts off with like a cute-ish story, it ends with you crying because, you know, of course it does. I think the writing style is incredibly simple but also incredibly invoking and moving. It's able to draw emotion and paint such a clear depiction of all the characters that you are immediately drawn to the story and feel a connection with it. Not only that, but the concept of the book itself is just so imaginative, as the time travel in this book also has a twist. I won't say what it is. Basically, it's just like the time travel has limits, you know, it has rules, so the way that the story works around it to still create an engaging plot, I think, is just incredibly genius. The book does such a fantastic job of depicting different relationship dynamics, depicts the human experience, what it means to be in love, to lose somebody, to have grief, to have happiness, to just experience all that life can give you. Because the fundamentals of the book is the question, you know, if you could go back in time, what would you finally wish to do? And obviously for all the characters in the book, they're all going to have a completely different answer, and just seeing those answers and the way that they play out, you know, I think it's just so incredibly amazing. What I love is that the brilliance of the book is that it doesn't rely on the time traveling too much. Personally, for me, I was more invested in the characters and their lives over the fact that time travel exists in the book. Those were all of my favorite reads this year. Like I said, it wasn't as much as last year, but all of these I think were just absolutely such a delight. Not such a delight. 2 of them were the most depressing shit I've ever read, and 2 of them were the most happy shit I've ever read. So as you can see, I have a very big variety there. I'd also like to mention some books that weren't necessarily my favorite, but I do still think were very, very good. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed, Pachinko by Minjin Lee, The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broga, and for funsies, my favorite manga was Spy X Family Volume 4, which is the volume with Bond, aka the dog, so it's that arc. But yeah, those were just a couple other books that I really, really loved this year. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you watched this entire video, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe! Only if you want to though. And I will see y'all next time. Bye!